Leverage trading can be a double-edged sword. It can allow you to make insane gains in an otherwise fairly boring period, or it can be incredibly damaging because you may not understand what you're doing. And so I want to give you a couple of tips on how to leverage trade and some of the things that you can take a look at or you can look out for when you are starting your leverage trading journey. Now, of course, none of this is financial advice. You, of course, do need to do your own research, and you should sink some considerable amounts of time learning how to trade leverage if you are interested. So I would say this is a really great place to start and some really top tips that you can learn. But of course, you should continue and do your own research and make sure that you understand what you're doing. But with that being said, let's go on ahead. Let's learn some top of the 3 biggest tips that I have. We'll include a bonus one in there here in a second. But the top 3 tips that I have to help you be more successful when you're leverage trading. So first off, as you can see here, we are trading on BloFin. BloFin is a fantastic product. I really like BloFin. I do have a link in the description below. If you are looking to sign up and start trading on BloFin, they're doing a $5,000 deposit bonus upon sign up. They also will do sometimes some limited time offers as well to help and kind of incentivize you to get signed up. They change very frequently, so I don't know exactly which one it'll be at the time you're watching it. But if you click on the link in the description below, it'll take you to the landing page and you'll get to see what that special bonus is. Now, the first thing that I want to show you here, and this is the bonus tip, this isn't one of the 3, but the bonus tip is they have a demo trading section. So if you are new to leverage trading, it might be in your best interest to try demo trading first, because this is something where you can kind of get a hang of it, kind of get the feel for it without actually putting your own money at risk. And this is, of course, really, really important, especially if you may not know exactly what you're doing. Now, the first thing that you'll see here, this is essentially like a trading view layout, right? So if you're familiar with trading view at all, you should be relatively familiar with what you're seeing here. We've got this standard candle look here, and then I do have kind of some markings here off from some TA that I've done in some previous videos. If you are interested in following me a little bit more closely, of course, you can like, subscribe, do all that type of good stuff, and just click those in the section below. But the first tip that I have for you is a trading tip that I have always found incredibly useful. And we'll go over and take a couple looks of some recent examples of this. But the first thing that we can see here, and it's actually something that's happening right now. This is the Bitcoin chart, of course, and on the Bitcoin chart, you can see something really interesting and really important. So this is the Bollinger Bands. The Bollinger Bands, for those of you who are not aware, is it essentially gives you like a range at which price should be kind of within most of the times. Now, of course, as you can see right now, it will not always be within this range, but it generally should be. And so this is a really good indicator that if it's outside of this range, this is atypical price action, and you should expect it to kind of return back to normal. This orange line kind of being like the mean that it would be reverting to. You can see in the past several times where we've kind of seen it wick outside of it, and then it usually comes back in and reverts to the mean at some point in the near future. Now, the other important piece that we compare this with down here is we can see the RSI. Almost certainly, when we see both Bollinger Bands overextended outside of the range, as well as RSI sitting as overbought. Now, of course, it's just barely sitting as overbought, but it is indeed sitting as overbought right now. We can always expect some level of price cooling off until we can come back into the Bollinger Bands. Now, this is not to say that price is going to go down. Sometimes price might just consolidate to the side, let the Bollinger Bands catch up, and go from there. Sometimes it might mean retracing a little bit. It really is hard to say for sure, but what you can feel pretty good about when you see this is that price is probably going to cool down to some degree in the near future. So this can be a great way to help prevent you from buying the top potentially, because you're going to be seeing that there are some this doesn't hold for a long period of time. And so going back, we can see this in a couple of different situations. Here we can see, well, actually we can see it right here a little bit. We peak outside of the Bollinger Bands for a couple of days in a row here. But then after that, you can see we have a really, really strong pullback that kind of gets us within the Bollinger Bands. Again, just barely, or not within the RSI, just barely, but it also does put us very comfortably back within the Bollinger Bands. And then you can see for the rest of this move upward, we really don't extend outside of the Bollinger Bands. So instead of buying here, if you were a little bit patient, realizing that RSI was overbought, as well as price being outside of the Bollinger Bands, you could have found a couple of different entries before where you would have gotten into that would have given you a little bit better of an entry, and you could have felt more confident because things were not overextended. There's a couple of different items that we can see here. Whoops, let me put that back. We can see something similar here to the downside as well. We see Bollinger Bands overextending. Again, this was kind of like the mass capitulation type of point. But if you look here, you could have been relatively confident that price was going to come back in at some point. Now, it just so happened it was like almost immediate, and we saw an almost immediate reversion to the mean here. So this would have been quite an amazing trade to take. But this is something that is generally fairly common. We can keep going back and find some more examples of this. We can see something here again, barely, actually, this is barely just not outside the RSI, but at the point that the candles would have been up here, this very much would have been overbought, and then we could see an immediate crash right after. So there's a lot of different circumstances in which this happens. Here's another more kind of different circumstance where we see this kind of peaking out in both areas, and then we see again a little bit of a reversion, and then it continues on its way up. So this is not to say that we're going to see this type of thing happening every single time, but it does usually mean we're going to run into some level of price consolidation or some price kind of stuttering a little bit until we continue that move back to the upside. So hopefully that is something that is can be a little bit useful for you as you're doing your technical analysis in your charting, and potentially where leverage trading, where you can get liquidated very easily. This can be a move to help you kind of determine, when price might be stalling out a little bit, and maybe when you should think otherwise. So just something to think about there. The second one that we have here, and this is kind of a higher level strategy. This is again going back to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is something that has just absolutely crushed it over the past several years. We'll zoom out really, really large here. I guess BloFin only giving us back till September, but that's totally okay. What we can see here is realistically in this period of time, a low leverage long play on Bitcoin probably would have outperformed all alts. Even the alts that did really quite well, it's still very dangerous because when alts bleed, they bleed hard generally. And Bitcoin has kind of led the way this entire cycle. So a less risky, again, defining risk maybe in a couple of different ways, but the less risky way of potentially trading a low risk way would be taking a low leverage long Bitcoin type of play. Now, the reason I say this is because let's say right now at 116,000, we want to take a 3x long on Bitcoin. The liquidation price would be down here at about 40,000. We can go in, we can actually open one up to see. So we go here, we'll do cross leverage. Actually, we'll do isolated just to show exactly when the liquidation point would be. We'll do 3x, we'll do it at market right now, and then we will buy 1 Bitcoin. We can see here the cost will be a lot. It'll be $38,000 because we're essentially buying 1/3 of a Bitcoin because we are playing on 3x leverage. Now, if we go here and we press the buy button, and you can see now that we have the opportunity to confirm our buy. Now, actually, one thing that I did realize is that I didn't have money in my account, so I had to go in and reset my margin trading account. I don't know why I didn't put money in my account originally, but if you're looking for that, you just go to assets and then you go to futures and then you just press the reset trading button. So that's a way of like if you are trying new strategies and you lose money or whatever, and you like want to go back up to even to see if you can find a winning strategy, really easy to do that. So anyway, I've done that. You can see here the liquidation price is just shy of 78,000. Now, I did my math wrong earlier. I was accounting for essentially 2/3 margin, not 3x margin. But here we can see we are at 77,000. Now, if that doesn't work for you, you feel like maybe that's even too risky, that's totally fine. Maybe just do 2x margin, right? Even on 2x margin, you're still playing at a level that is going to be somewhat safe. Again, there are no guarantees in life, but even on 2x margin, you're sitting at $58,000 of a liquidation price for Bitcoin. The odds that we get back to $58,000 Bitcoin, very low, of course, always possible. And this is the risk inherent in leverage trading. And this is where maybe the different type of risk comes in. But if you do that, you now have a pretty low risk of like immediately getting liquidated at least. And then if we continue on the upside and we continue grinding up like we have seen out of Bitcoin for the past several months or even several years at this point, this can be a very, very well performing strategy, because if Bitcoin goes up 100% on 3x leverage, you're essentially making a 3x on Bitcoin, even though it just doubled. So this is something that is really important to understand and can do very well, especially when we're thinking about, boarding Bitcoin versus some of these alts. But the alts over the past several years have gotten absolutely demolished. So it's been a really, really difficult trade to take. If you do low leverage Bitcoin, this could be a potential alternative that's a little bit different to just purely trading altcoins. And it could be, potentially less risk depending on how you define risk. Now, I'm going to leave that up to you, but that is kind of maybe a little bit of a different way to look at it. Now, the third way is something that is going to be pretty easy if you're new to leverage trading and you're thinking about, this is a little bit difficult. I'm not really sure. I don't understand all the dots and the lines and the things. That's totally okay. If you are still looking to have some exposure into the trading market, we do have this copy trading bot. This copy trading bot has done absolutely wonderfully. Obviously, past 7 days is a little bit of an aberration just because we are seeing Bitcoin breaching new all-time highs. So that is going to be a little bit of an aberration, but you can see here that this bot is just absolutely crushing it. This is called the Sentinel. It is a quant trading bot. I've worked with Quantoshi to develop this. Quantoshi is a really, really strong development firm. I've worked with them for a long period of time, and I've actually been kind of working on this bot in the background over the past several months to make sure that it works and it performs and stuff like that. Now, this isn't my bot, but I've essentially been kind of working with them because I saw what they've been doing. So we can see here the max drawdown is 6.68%. The win rate is 100%, and we've made 22% in the past 7 days. This is essentially all winning trades. We can see the annualized ROI creeping up on 400%. That's really impressive. And again, this only trades Bitcoin. So you're not going into the trenches trading these super high risk, really volatile assets. You're trading the best of the best. You're trading Bitcoin. You can see here, for those of you who might be a little bit more sophisticated from an investment perspective, you can see the Sharpe ratio absolutely smashing it. So there's been a really, really the performance of this bot has been wonderful. Obviously, you can see some drawdowns. It's not all perfect, but this is looking really, really nice overall. You can see here only trading BTC USDT. So that's the only thing that it is doing. Really, really nice bot. If you are interested, if you sign up using my link in the description below, you can actually copy trade this bot. I will have the link to this below my sign up link. If you are interested, you can see here, in order to access, you do have to sign up using my link. So just something to think about if you are interested. This has just done absolutely wonderfully for me already. And if you are interested in taking a little bit more of a lax approach, a little hands-off, set it and forget it type of thing, really, really great option. If you are looking to dive in and learn, I would say, demo trading is a great way to go. Using the Bollinger Bands and the RSI overextension, another great way to go. And potentially just really studying Bitcoin, really studying the Bitcoin chart and understanding how Bitcoin moves, you could potentially do quite well, even just using low leverage trading techniques. So hopefully this was useful. These are kind of some top tips that I have. Hopefully they were helpful. If they were, of course, a like and a subscribe does really, really help me out. And if you are interested in getting started, just check the link in the description below. You do have all those sign up bonuses, which is a really, really great incentive if you are interested. Also, if you did find the information in this video useful, like, subscribe, stay tuned, learn more information. I am doing daily updates of all the things happening within the crypto market. So if you are wanting to stay up to date, I do also have trades that I take as well. So if you're wanting to stay up to date with some of the trades that I take and how I'm seeing the market and how I'm thinking about the market, you can feel free to do that as well. Also, if you have any comments, questions, anything like that, just drop those in the comment section below. I will read and respond to all of them. So if you have anything that you want me to see, happy to do so and happy to answer. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.